Hi everyone. I'm interviewing today Thomas Graziani, the founder of WalkTheChat, and I have to be true to you. I know Thomas for some time. He has been a long-time friend of mine. I think I met with him for the first time like 5 years ago in Beijing. He was still working at a very large company. He was not an entrepreneur yet, and it was at the very beginning of WalkTheChat. I follow this entrepreneur story, and one of the things I'm very interested in knowing more is how he switched from an agency to a SaaS system, to a SaaS business, which is what he has been doing over, I think, the last 2 years. And I'm very interested as well to know more about how he came up with this idea of WalkTheChat, a WeChat agency, which is one of the first ideas he had, the first business he started, and I like to discover all this. Welcome, Thomas. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, Matthieu. Nice to be here.
How was it, the intro?
Pretty good.
Good? Okay.
Very, very transparent. I like it.
Okay, thanks. So yes, I know you, I think I met with you in 2014, or no, actually 2013 maybe, right? When did you begin WalkTheChat?
Around 3 years ago, but I think we know each other before that because I tried to start a art photography gallery before that in Beijing. And that's when I first met you because I was recommended to talk to you to talk about pricing for my products. And that was the first introduction from our friend Gilles.
Okay, I didn't remember. Okay, since then the things have been going on and you have been building a totally different company, which is WalkTheChat. Could you tell us what WalkTheChat is right now?
Yeah, so today we are basically an e-commerce platform which enables merchants outside China to sell inside China via WeChat. So it's like kind of a Chinese WeChat version for Shopify. You can create your store and then your Chinese customers buy in China with a completely China WeChat friendly interface, and you receive the money in your bank account in the US or France or wherever.
Okay. I see. So to sum up, you are providing a kind of plugin solution for Shopify shops, for actually any shop, right? It could be
one platform, and it plugs into other e-commerce platforms. So it can work by itself without any third party. But let's say you have a Shopify store and you want to run all your orders, all your inventory through Shopify, then you can just use our platform to provide the storefront and maybe some China-specific CRM and targeting and campaign capabilities, but you manage your actual orders on Shopify. So you really have the two options. You can really do everything on our platform, or you can just use it for the front-end promotion side and use your Magento or Shopify store for fulfillment.
Okay, so if one of the person who is listening to us has a Shopify shop, he can take your plugin and immediately being visible to the Chinese market. Doesn't mean that we get traffic immediately. It will have to bring traffic, or you can help maybe, but that's not the value proposition of your which is actually to connect. A bit like I guess like Lengo or like Lengow in Europe. Do you know this company?
Yeah, I know it. Kind of similar. I mean, there are differences because Lengo, I believe, I'm not an expert of what they do, but they're able to basically have a centralized way of listing your products in different e-commerce platforms. What we do maybe is a bit more specific to WeChat, so it's also a bit more customized for WeChat. But to answer your earlier question, so yeah, you're right. When our merchants set up on WeChat, they don't get instant traffic. So we don't make the promise of merchants that just by listing on our platform, they will get sales. When they list on our platform, basically it's just like if you created your Shopify store and then you need to drive traffic to it. So we do have clients who get sales very fast, but it's because they already have interest for their products in China. And then when they launch on WeChat, some of the customers find it more convenient and start buying. So we did have some cases of clients who launch and without any special promotion, because they had some kind of existing presence in China, they were already sold by other marketplaces. when they started launching on WeChat and they provided the product a bit cheaper because it was their own channels, they didn't have to pay the fees to all these platforms, then clients started buying through it directly. But that's a minority of the cases. A lot of our clients actually have to run campaigns so that they can get sales.
Okay, I understand. So can you tell us about WalkTheChat now, size of the company, number of people working, or number of clients, anything you can disclose to give a sense of the size, the momentum you're having now for the audience?
Sure. So today we work with about 100 paying customers. So the way we work is basically monthly recurring revenue. So clients pay us every month to be able to use our platform, and the fees are between 200 and 1,000 USD for just the software. But some of our clients pay us more than that. So you were asking earlier, do we handle the part about traffic? The answer is sometimes. So for all of our clients, we provide this kind of basic e-commerce layer where we charge between, as I said, 200 and 1,000 USD. And then on top of that, we have some upsold services, which can include customer service, marketing, content. But we don't do that with all of our clients. We actually do that with a small percentage of our clients with who we really want to kind of do the whole thing, the full stack approach so that we really understand how to market to China and we stay connected to the market. But some of our clients are also agencies who are then reselling the platform to their clients. And in that case, they would handle everything. So yeah, as I was saying, about 100 clients, which can bring between 200 to 10,000 USD and above of revenue, depending on the size and depending on the extent of the services that they purchase from us. Okay.
Among the 100 clients you are getting now, what's a typical client? I mean, what do they sell? I guess it's it's only physical products. It could be services, it could be like traveling or something like that, or services. It's only product.
Yeah, it can only be physical products because we're doing cross-border payments with WeChat, and legally WeChat has to basically make sure the platform is not being used to funnel money out of China. So in order for things to be clean, when a transaction takes place, it must be associated with a Chinese customer ID and with a shipping number, so that then the Chinese government, if they want, can track and make sure that we're not using the platform to take renminbi out of China. Because converting from local Chinese currencies to USD is actually like a very regulated thing. So we have to operate in this framework, which is set by WeChat. And to answer your previous question, a typical client very often will be either in fashion, like cosmetics or F&B industry. Usually we're talking about clients who are not super famous. They are famous within the niche. So very often like mid-end niche fashion brands, which might be famous in New York or might have some visibility in New York or in Italy or in the local market, but they're not LVMH level of famous, and they want to get started in China. They're not selling here yet, and they want to get visibility. And very often our clients would already have some kind of visibility in China. Maybe some bloggers already identified the brand, start talking about the brand, but they don't have the official channel yet to sell. So that's when we come into play and we help them set up this official channel through cross-border. And they don't want to have like full-fledged like big teams in China at this stage. They just want to basically be able to sell to this market, ship to this market. And that's why we help.
I understand. So when do you think a company should contact you? When do you think a company should install the plugin of WalkTheChat on Shopify? You say mid-size, but it's difficult to know when you are reaching mid-size. Do you have some metrics?
Yeah, usually they should be like somewhere above 20 million USD of sales is in their home market, because getting into China is not necessarily cheap. It's like we try not to overpromise in any way to our clients. So we don't tell them, well, you're going to spend like a few $100 on the platform and then you will get sales. We try to be transparent about the fact that there is very often a marketing expense to get started in China. So very often it would be at least dozens of thousands of US dollars spent on paying some key opinion leaders so that they start promoting the brand. So we had some good cases of companies spending less than that. So recently we had a fashion brand which put like 8,000 US dollars of investment in key opinion leaders, got about just below 60,000 US dollars of sales for a company which is basically just getting started in the Chinese market. So we are getting good results sometimes with low investment, but it's not first, there is still an investment. And very often we would advise our clients to have at least an envelope of 50,000 US dollars they can put in this marketing. So we're talking about brands which are already established in the local market, and we can spend a bit on the acquisition to get the initial momentum, because otherwise we don't want clients who just basically list the products and then don't get any sales, or we try to discourage this.
Sure.
Of course, there are some cases where clients could get to some results without some big investment, as we said, if they have existing visibility in the Chinese market, or if they have some other ways to get customers. So it's all about acquisition, right? If you have a store in the US or in France where you have a lot of Chinese tourists who are coming to your store, then you could actually tell them, okay, scan this QR code, because as you know, in China, QR codes are essential for offline to online acquisition. And then tell them, okay, now that you follow this QR code, you can keep buying the product when you go to China. So you could have other ways. If you already have some kind of audience, if you already have offline traffic from Chinese customers, then you can actually manage to do this without having to pay too much on acquisition. But there needs to be a solution to the acquisition problem, and it can be buying the traffic, or it can usually from influencers, or it can be offline to online. But once again, this will only be for companies who have this kind of existing traffic and resources.
I understand. So if I summarize for the audience to make sure everyone understands, you're providing a solution which can be the software in itself, you put your product on your platform, or a plugin which is getting the product from Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, I don't know how many plugins you have, and making it possible to display them on WeChat, on a specific page on WeChat where the Chinese clients can buy easily, because that's the way they buy in China. Is that correct? And this service,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's and basically, as you said, for the Chinese customer, it's a completely local experience, very familiar user experience, local login methods, local payment methods, local sharing methods, and then the money, of course, is upon purchase is converted to foreign currencies. So the Chinese customer pays in renminbi, in local currency, and the merchant gets the money in whichever currency they use to sell. So it's a very seamless experience on both sides.
I see. On both sides, there is no hard work to change currencies, to display the product on your platform. It's seamless. It's just translation work, basically, right? And you could provide the work, or they do on their own, but your focus is to offer a SaaS system which is helping to put the products they will sell on the Chinese platform, which is easy to use by Chinese. And this you charge $200 to $500 a month.
Yeah, I mean, it's $200 to $500 for this part of the offer. It's going to move to $2,000 to $1,000 within like a month or so, as we are going through a classic SaaS evolution where we're increasing the pricing as the product gets more features. So for some of the new premium features we're going to add, which include CRM and some advanced targeting capabilities, we're going to create a $1,000 plan. And I guess later next year, we'll also move to yearly pricing instead of monthly pricing. Today, most of our customers are on monthly pricing. Some of them like the platform, and then because they know they're going to keep using it, converts to yearly. But soon we're going to, I think, move everything to paying for a year, because that's a good way to get upfront cash for us. And as we get more comfortable with our solution, we can see more and more success cases. We are more comfortable with clients paying 5, 10,000 USD upfront for the service.
Yeah, makes sense. So we talked about it before the interview. You are not charging on a transaction, right? You're not taking a commission on a transaction, or you are?
Yeah, not really. So the transaction part is has 3 players. It's like the end customer usually would pay first like a middleman of Tencent, official partner of Tencent in each country, and then the money would go to our customer actually to be market rate. So when our merchants sign up, they don't sign up directly with Tencent. They sign up with a middleman of Tencent. Basically aggregates all the merchants for WeChat, because WeChat does not want to create accounts for each single merchant. So they have some partners in each country who help them do that. So when the transaction happens, so the customer pays via WeChat payment, the money goes to WeChat. WeChat sends it to the payment partner, and then the payment partner will send it to the merchant. So the way the total commission is going to be around 2.5%, and usually it's 1% which is taken by WeChat more or less, and 1.5% by the payment partner. So some of these payment partners have agreements with us, and they do give us a very small fraction of a percentage, but we don't really take it on top of that. We take it from the fraction taken by the payment partner. Basically, they give us kind of like if you would recommend a client to someone, and then the client would pay the normal price, but you would get an affiliate commission, where we get an affiliate commission from some of the payment partners.
I understand. So WeChat system and WeChat Pay is partnering with middlemen. Do you have some names, by the way, of middlemen?
Nihao Pay would be one. Nihao, like hello. Okay. Royal Pay, so this is our partner for US and Europe. Royal Pay, ROYAL, like Royal, is our partners for Australia, but we integrate to like a dozen different providers today.
Oh.
Maybe even more than that, because we keep integrating ones that where we have a client who's using a provider, we see this provider has good technology, is using good terms, is providing good terms, we will just add them to the platform. And so that keeps expanding over time.
Okay, so 2.5% is what WeChat Pay is taking?
In total, yes. That was the merchant has to pay in total, taking into account all the stakeholders, so both WeChat Pay and the middleman. And if they would sign up with WeChat Pay directly, which is a possibility, they would still pay more or less the same percentage, because basically WeChat Pay is giving a discount to this middleman, and then they get the difference. So for merchants, it makes more sense to use this middleman, because they actually provide better APIs than WeChat Payment, and they're much easier to speak with, and much more reactive if there is a question or if there is any kind of issue that the customers want to discuss. So we don't really recommend going directly with WeChat Payment. Although it's a possibility. We also have this integration, of course, but in practice, we find it creates more problems than going through this kind of distributors.
Okay, I see. Basically, 2.5% is very, very little. I mean, compared to, I remember PayPal and Stripe are about 5%, 4 to 5% when it's cross-border, right?
Yeah. It's quite reasonable for a cross-border payment transaction. It is very reasonable. So it's like we never had any merchant being bothered by the 2.5%. Definitely. I mean, I think for most of our merchants, the biggest question is on the marketing and how to get returns, right? So that's the real expense of the endeavor. The whole setup on our platform is quite fast. I mean, it's quite smooth. The costs are not outrageous. The real cost comes when you have to start paying key opinion leaders, influencers to drive traffic. So that's where we have to maybe do a bit more hand-holding, is to explain to our clients how to do this. And as we get more and more success cases, it's getting easier, because we can point to other customers who manage to do it. And it's getting easier over time.
Yeah.
Than it was a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, you've talked about what you mentioned as a success story for one of your clients. So spending $8,000, my notes, I took some notes. So $8,000, and they sold over 60 grams, right? US.
Yeah,
But what is
but just below actually. I think it's just below 60,000 US dollars of bags. Yeah.
okay? 8,000 spending, 60,000 as revenues.
Yeah.
So if I do the math, I mean, I'm around, I guess, 12%. I mean, 12, 14%.
This was pretty low, right? Yeah. This is
not
what.
bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This is what you can expect for like successful campaigns. I would say like between 5 to 7 times your investment in sales. Of course, it varies, right? It's social, so there is a lot of uncertainty, and also this cost goes down over time because when you do your first campaign, you completely rely on the key opinion leaders. So you don't have your own asset, you don't have your own traffic, right? Because when we help our clients, we first help them to set up this WeChat official account, which is like a Facebook page, right, for WeChat. People are going to follow it. They're going to be able to send notifications. And this WeChat official account will link to the shop. So it's like if you have a Facebook page linking to a Shopify store. So when you get started, you don't have any following. So you have to pay basically for each view and for each sale. And as you expand and as you keep doing campaigns, usually when you run a campaign, you don't take people directly to the store. You ask people to follow your account. So you are accumulating followers on this account, this asset, and your cost of sale gets down over time and becomes more predictable. So at the beginning, you're going to have a bit more to spend to acquire sales, and also you're going to have much more variability because people don't know you, and some of the key influencers are going to be a great fit, some less. And then as time goes by, you can get a bit more visibility on how much sales you're going to get on WeChat because you're going to run your weekly or monthly campaigns on your account, and you will get some sales coming like this in a way which is a bit more predictable, a bit more recurring.
Okay, so the 8,000 including your fees?
No, this is how much spend in marketing, but our fees. Yeah.
Okay.
This is without including as some initial investment through to maybe do a bit of design and also our fees. But I think for this store, I mean, there might be spend. I mean, it's a few hundred USD per month, right? So our fees are not really changing the calculation of the ROI. And I mean, we look at ROI as a campaign levels because once you have a good ROI on a campaign, you can kind of reproduce it and scale it. And hopefully our fees, because they are flat, get smaller and smaller as a part of this. Yeah.
Yeah, but I try to understand so the audience can have some metrics in mind and project some business ideas into the Chinese market. So total amount of money to get 50,000 US with no fame initially. The product is known now. It's not now. It's not much now. I mean, or the brand is not much now. So 2 questions. How much does it cost total? I mean, to spend with your fees and so on. And the question behind this is how long did it take? Because if it took a year, that means they had to spend every month for 1 year to give you some payments every month. So could you give us an understanding of this?
For this campaign I'm talking about, I think the campaign happened like a month or so after the client launched the store. So usually it's like it takes a bit more time in total, but usually we have like a 1,000 USD fee to just create the WeChat official account. So when our client starts working with us, sometimes they just pay this 1,000 USD and they don't pay any recurring fees because we need 2-3 months to create the account to get the approval from WeChat. So we started working with them a few months back with this, where they just paid this one-time fee. We took the time to create the account, and then we designed it. And then after they launched, they got this campaign happened like about a month after launch. So it's quite fast, and it means so it was 4 or 5 months after maybe first contact, and maybe a couple of months, 1 or 2 months after they actually launched the store, including all the steps. And they didn't have to pay big amounts in the initial step. For the first 3 months, I think we were just focusing on creating the account. So we were basically waiting for approval from WeChat. And then the next 2 months were more focused on really preparing the store, running the first campaigns, and getting these results. So it's quite fast. That's a nice thing.
Total amount spent, 8,000 US in ad money, marketing money, right?
Yeah.
And your fees total, it's like 10, 12,000, right?
This a bit less than that, I think, because I think this client was like 3,000 USD design, 1,000 USD account creation, maybe like 1,000 USD at most of fees for the store over a couple of months. And maybe a bit for content. So because I think we helped them create some content, but the content was not really what brought the sales. Content is more for nurturing or on the long term. So I think what they actually spend on design, account creation, account creation and campaign in total was around 15,000 to 20,000 USD. But I think this is more of a lucky case in the sense that, as I said, I would recommend clients to have an envelope of over 50,000 USD to get started so that they can really seeing some returns. Managing to do it with a total envelope of 15,000 USD is rather unusual. This client was willing to spend more. It's just the return came quickly. But I think you need to be ready to invest a bit to see actual returns. If you spend like 2,000 USD on a campaign, then you lose hope. I mean, this is quite likely the first or second campaigns are not going to hit big hits right away because we need time to find the right influencers. And yeah, it takes a bit of luck too because it's social media. So it's going mostly through influencers. So there is like a hit or miss component to it.
Yeah, when I compare the numbers, basically you are on an ROI which is between 25 to 30%, which is actually when we compare to like Google AdWords or Facebook AdWords, I mean Facebook or whatever we call it, it's pretty good because I remember that e-commerce conversion is about 1 to 2% online in the West, and if you have a click on AdWords, Google AdWords, which is €1, you may have to pay up to 50 or 100 euros before getting a sale. So it's not bad at all, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you can get really good results there, WeChat, and that's what makes the platform attractive is that you can get results fast. Of course, it suggests that the product is good, right? So it's not the kind of products results you can get with any product, and the product must have some kind of fit also with the Chinese market. So that's why I was saying with some kind of fashion, cosmetics items, some F&B products, we get really, really good results. There is an element of fit with the local market, and if your product is good, and if you're willing to invest a bit to find the right influencers for your brand, then the results can be extremely positive and extremely fast, which is, I think, the impressive part, because entering the Chinese market for most brands is an endeavor which takes sometimes years, right? If you go the traditional way and you go about like setting up a branch in China, a company in China, you know as well as I do that from a lot of foreign companies might take a year just to get their legal structure created before even talking about creating sales and being profitable. So the idea is that you would start on a phone call and that 4 or 5 months later you would be profitable on your Chinese market strategy is quite, I think, quite exciting, and without such an insane expense. Once again, as I said, we don't want to make people believe they can do that with just a few $100, but for large SMEs, investing like 20, 30, 50,000 US dollars in initial campaigns or more if they want, of course, is not such a crazy expense in order to crack the Chinese market. And of course, then they can elaborate on this, right? We don't recommend our clients to just do WeChat. Once they get that, they can start also to look for distributors and other things. And WeChat will always be part of the strategy, so they can go beyond that. Yeah, sorry.
How do you identify the KOLs? You insist a lot on KOLs, on influencers. How do you identify them, and how do you work with them? I mean, do you pay upfront money? Do you incentivize them on the sales volume?
Yeah. Yeah, so very often it's and most of the time it's upfront money, yeah, and very often we find them through kind of personal contacts or like basically the network we are starting to build, and that's why I'm saying we are mostly focused on like these elements of like fashion, cosmetics, and F&B, because that's when we start to know a bit more KOLs and being a bit more used to doing this kind of promotions. If we are in other areas where we don't have anybody in our networks, then we might recommend other companies which are doing KOLs full time. You know, you have a company like Parklu, Parklu, which are just KOL companies. So their job is just to source KOLs, source influencers. So if there is like no good influencer in our network for a specific product, we might just introduce these kind of companies. We don't want to be like an influencer management companies. We're really focusing on the e-commerce layer. We just believe that it's important for us to get a first-hand approach experience of everything that happens for our clients. So we are just nurturing a kind of small network of very high quality KOLs on some areas like cosmetics, fashion, and F&B, where we get a lot of clients. And then when the clients reach out to us, we just try to see what is the fit between what the client is offering, what is the customer persona of the client, and what are the analytics of these different KOLs in terms of gender and age and location, different size of cities in China, so we can find a good match and the general tone of the influencer as opposed to the general messaging of the brand. So it's kind of a manual process. And we can do it well because we keep it small scale. As I said, we don't work with all of our clients on this kind of campaigns. A lot of our clients might go through other agencies, and we do it when we believe we can really get good results because we have in-house the capability to do this kind of campaigns. And we don't try to do that for our clients. Some of our clients are more specific niche, and we just recommend someone else.
Yeah, I understand. Basically, it will help them to do a good use of your software, right? Because they could do it themselves, but they may not know how to do it because they are far away, they're overseas. So in order to be successful on your platform, you may help them doing marketing, but that's not your core business.
I mean, a lot of our clients need help. So this help can come from us or it can come from other agencies. We have some clients who are very, very China savvy, so they know all this stuff. But it's very, very small percentage of our clients who know a lot about China. So either for some of them, let's say for the vast majority, for a very, very small number of our clients that know about it, they can do it themselves. For a small number, we help them. And for a large number, we would introduce them or they would already have contacts with agencies which are helping them to do this like more like PR / a promotion part of the launch. So no matter what, we make sure that our clients have the right kind of support. The question is, do they have it to start with? Do we provide it, or do we introduce them to people who can provide that for them?
Okay, I see. What do you think about, I think Galeries Lafayette is using now QR code in Paris, right? Or some malls. Because that's very close to your idea, right? To help local businesses being able to connect with Chinese tourists or Chinese clients and getting sales from them through your platform. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so actually what you're describing for Galeries Lafayette, what they do is simply providing the payments, right? The QR code payment on inside the Galeries Lafayette. What we are looking into is now we are trying to partner or starting to partner with this kind of providers who help to provide offline payments in Europe in particular, and providing them with the cross-border e-commerce on top of that. So today you go to Galeries Lafayette, you purchase, but you don't necessarily keep buying when you go out, right? What we provide and what we are starting to partner with offline payment provider is providing this kind of offline e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce brick, which is adding to that. So basically, you're going to the store in Europe, in France, in Germany, in UK. you're paying with WeChat payment, and as you're paying, like you're invited to follow the account, and then once you go back to China, you can keep buying cross-border through our platform. So it's a step further, I think, from what's happening today. A lot of the merchants in Europe now are still at the stage of simply setting up the payment. What we're providing is the ability to stay in touch with the customer. And that's something we're looking into right now. Once again, I think that's something which for us today is more prospective. We are simply like in discussion with these offline payment providers, trying to find ways to collaborate. It's not where our traffic, most of our traffic comes today. Today, our clients, as I said, are mostly brought through influencers, but it's a bit what we discussed in the beginning of the conversation when we said what matters at the end of the day is traffic. One way to get it is by influencers and KOLs. That's what we do today. Another way to do it is to get it from offline traffic, which is what you're describing with Gary Lafayette, and that's also something we're looking into right now.
Okay, I see. So you have this hybrid system where you are building a SaaS solution and you're also providing some services. So it's really hybrid. And I feel that's coming back from your origins. You began WalkTheChat as an agency. Could you tell us more about how it began, how you evolved it? I saw a lot of businesses which were agencies and failed at building a product, and a few of them have been able to do it, which did very well actually, like MailChimp came out from an agency. Annie, I think, came out from a kind of agency at the beginning. So could you tell us more about how you did the pivot and the conversion?
Well, we're just very frugal as an agency. We never tried to really scale the agency, so this was a tough choice back in the days. Now it's getting a bit easier to live with this because we're seeing some really growth on the software side, and we're seeing good success stories and getting momentum. But basically, I chose to not take so many agency projects and to keep the agency small because I was afraid. I mean, I didn't like the agency work so much. We still do a bit of it. We have a few agency clients, but who are like, let's say, good clients. For instance, like we just started a small project with Cisco, which we renewed because we helped Cisco deal with some of their WeChat processes. They are good clients. They're quite smart, quite sophisticated, so they're easy to work with, and some of this consulting money helps to still bring some capital to the business. So we're still doing a bit of it, but I didn't want to do that long term, and I didn't want to be dependent on this to run the business. I didn't want to have, because having clients as an agency is can be very crushing because basically you're kind of the slave of the client, right? While when you're running a software business, we are today, of course, we have to be good to the clients. We have to provide good service. But at the end of the day, with about 100 clients, we don't really depend so much on each client, and we keep growing. And the weight of each client gets smaller and smaller, and it gives them some kind of peace of mind, and it makes it much easier to run than running a business where you're having 5 or 10 active clients, and then if you lose one, it's like a very, very big blow for your morale and for your company and for the finance. So yeah, I just decided not to get into that and to kind of stay very, very low key for the agency until we found a model which works, which is something which we stumbled into about a year and a half ago, and which is gaining more momentum today. But yeah, it was mostly restraint. There was not a lot of genius move we did. We just waited and tried things.
But I told before, I know you for some time, and I always felt that it could have been a bit painful to do it and to refuse clients, refuse maybe nice budgets to as an agency in order to focus on the product. Because one of the things I find really amazing is that among the expat community in China, you are the one who knows about China, about WeChat, the one who every time we're publishing something on WeChat gets a lot of press coverage, a lot of shares, a lot of likes, and so on. So for you, getting quite big on an agency could have been possible, but that was not part of your basically your path and how you saw it. And that's very rare. I mean, to see an entrepreneur who is going to commit to one product and get rid of all the other business he could get, which could make a decent amount of money.
No, yeah, there are some difficult calls. Like we turned down some projects with JP Morgan, with the French government, with Bosch. Also, we worked with them, but then we refused to quote on some bigger projects. So yeah, it was not easy, but at the end of the day, I think why it helps me, because I'm a bit weird. I don't really have. I have very, very philosophical approach to life. Right? It's not really about money. I don't care too much about money. I care about doing the things I want, the way I want them to do, the way I want to do it. And if I make less money, I make less money. I have enough to get by and to live a happy life. So money is not really something which matters too much. If it's getting money to do the wrong thing, it will not help me. I just want to make the thing I want grow, but just getting money in itself is not very interesting. So that's made it easier for me to turn on these projects, although they were bringing money. But they were not what I wanted to do. So yeah, I decided, and I still sometimes do today, to refuse to quote for things which are quite large and could bring quite a lot of revenue, but are not a good fit for what we're doing today.
Yeah, an agency is a never-ending fight, and you always have new product with different requirements, so it's difficult to scale it. Yeah, I guess that makes why you moved partly in product.
Yeah, everything is a never-ending fight, but it's just that in this case, the fight I wanted to fight was the one of building a software business. So it's also a never-ending fight. You're fighting against potential bugs, or improving your architecture of your product, improving the stability, improving all the transparency, improving the features. But from a personal standpoint, I find it more satisfying. So that's where I want.
I understand. How did it begin? I know that you were at the beginning in very different fields. Picture, photography. And how did WalkTheChat begin? You are not a developer, obviously not Chinese. You are not in e-commerce. And how did it begin? How did you decide to create at the beginning, which was an agency focusing on WeChat? What was the start?
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story. So my background is in engineering, but not in programming, as you mentioned. I've been trained in mathematical engineering in France and business in UK. Then I went for a short time at BCG in management consulting, which I didn't quite like. So I quickly left to go to China, and I worked for Schneider Electric, a big French automation company, for 3 years before starting WalkTheChat. This is like the professional side, as you said. It's not linked to neither with e-commerce nor with programming. As I was at Schneider, I got interested in entrepreneurship, started a few companies, one in the fashion business, one in the art photography business. And the fashion company, when I started it, I started using WeChat as a marketing tool to promote it, because back in the days, WeChat was just getting started. And I learned about WeChat this way, and then I realized, a lot of companies didn't know how to use WeChat, and I started offering these services to companies. Basically, this expertise I was building, as you mentioned, I started blogging about it. So I was the first, basically, person to write about WeChat in English, and now we have quite a very active blog, which gets us a lot of traffic, which we've been maintaining for the last 3-something years since I started WalkTheChat. And that's how it started. And quickly I realized the WeChat thing was making much more money than the art photography. So I gave up the photography project and started focusing on WeChat. And then we were like 1.5 years in kind of limbo, just taking some agency projects, not really finding our path, just looking for what we wanted to do. And for the last 1.5 years, we've been focusing on this e-commerce product, and it's been much more satisfying because we've seen like month-over-month increase of our monthly recurring revenue. And today, when we look at the curves of course, it's pretty nice to see that we are really building on something.
Okay, I see. So you built WalkTheChat initially because people were asking you to do the same as what you were doing yourself for your initial business that you start. And after you built blog, you talked about it, and you did a lot of content marketing, and I know we talked a lot about it before about how to build content marketing. What's the situation now about your client acquisition system? What's your process? If I go on SimilarWeb and checking your website, you're getting traffic, I guess, a lot from search, from Google, and a bit from social media from Quora, but that's very little actually. Can you tell me?
It's not a bad channel for us. So so as you mentioned Google, so you know about this because you're the one who first convinced me, right, to go into SEO about 3 years ago, and who also supported me and supported us when we got started right at the beginning. Right, some of your teammates were really helpful back in the days. It was Thibaut who helped. And basically taught us how to do SEO. So SEO is a big thing for us. If you write any WeChat related keyword, if you type WeChat shop, WeChat store, I think we are either the number 1 and 2 or number 1 to 3 on the first page of Google. And if you type the 1, but I think we also like number 2, right?
Oh yeah, you're number 1 and number 2 on WeChat shop. Yeah, and I went to WeChat account. Not the one, but you are on Quora. You are the first thing from Quora. But go ahead.
Well, WeChat account. We have a Quora answer, and then it's like the WeChat official website, a Quora, and then our answer. Anyway, on all these keywords, we are really crushing it. Usually, it's only WeChat which is above us for the vast majority of these keywords, and most of the time we are just number 1. And sometimes we have a few of the first places for WeChat advertising, WeChat key opinion leaders, all these things. So this really helps, definitely. We're getting more client referrals, of course. Quora actually is bringing very qualified traffic. I have I think 30,000 views per month on Quora on my Quora profile, and I'm top answerer for WeChat. And people who ask questions like how do I create a store on WeChat obviously are very, very qualified. And they do convert to our website some very, very qualified traffic. And we are using now also all the forums about Shopify. People are discussing how to create a store how to make the Shopify website WeChat friendly or China friendly. We would write some answers there, and that would drive very qualified traffic. So sometimes it's not just about the volume. These forum channels can be quite efficient in driving very, very qualified leads, and this leads convert very high.
I see. What do you think about Quora? Because I feel that a lot of very, very naive questions. Do you feel it's really a useful platform for people? I mean, it's ranking well on Google.
It's a great platform, of course. If you are just to browse the most answered questions on Quora, of course, it will be a lot of things about American politics or dating stuff, which is not very relevant to business. But as you said, it's very well referenced on Google. So most of the time, if you Google a question about WeChat, you would find our website, and then you would find a Quora answer, and the Quora answer would be my answer, right? So at the end of the day, when people look for information on Google, being well represented on Quora, and make sure that people find us wherever they look. And also Quora is very often seen as a kind of trustworthy source of information because you get opinion from different people about the questions you're asking. So being there is really a good way to provide expertise. And very often we don't directly promote the business, but we provide really good expertise, and then people go on our website, and there are people who are looking for who are asking themselves questions about WeChat, and then they convert to some of our lead magnets. So we also have very, very good lead magnets on the website. So when people get on the website, we have 2 lead magnets which are working extremely well. One is an ebook about entering the Chinese market, and one which works even better is a 5-day email course about WeChat marketing. So people would sign up to that, and then they would receive 5 emails. First one about how to create a WeChat official account, second about shops, third about traffic, fourth about content, and fifth about case studies, which basically will tell them everything about how to market on WeChat. And because what we do is so complex, right? Getting into China is so complex. For us, having all this content, these lead magnets is very important because it enables us first to convert some of this traffic to email collection. And also it enables us to kind of start educating these customers so that when they get to us, they're not at the 0 level of knowledge, they get maybe to 5 or 10%. And they don't need to be all the way to experts, but at least we are speaking from common understanding, and they already know that they have to create a WeChat official account, that there are different types of accounts, that they need to have an account on the store, and they know maybe the different ways they can drive traffic. So that really helps.
I understand. So how does it work? People put their email, they receive the training, right? Or
yeah. This is just a HubSpot sequence. So they put their email, and it submits a HubSpot form, which then sends daily emails. It's quite simple.
Okay.
But this is extremely efficient. Especially, you can see also the engagement of users. The big difference between having an ebook and an email course is if you send out an ebook, people read the ebook, or they don't. You have no idea, right? You just know if, maybe at best, you know if they open the email, and that's it. But if you send an email course, then you can see who are the people who actually open the email every day. If you have the links inside the email, you can see which links were clicked. So you can really have some very serious metrics of engagement. And right now, I'm converting this into a Facebook Messenger course, which gives even more visibility in terms of engagement of users. And we have this is very new. We started doing that a few days ago. I just put like $30 of investment on this, promoting this Messenger course, and generated 150 conversations on Messenger. So very, very interesting return on investment.
How much was it? How much you spent for 150?
30, and generated and got 150 people to sign up to my course on Messenger.
Qualified?
Yes, it's quite qualified. So this is retargeting. So these are people who have visited our website, and then I retarget them with that and tell them, okay, do you want to learn about WeChat marketing and the store? So it's not all of them working in big companies, but that's the beauty of Messenger, is that these 150 are not completely qualified. I mean, they're interested, but they might not have the spending power. But as they get inside the course, I can ask them questions like, you have a company registered in which country, how big is it? And I can store all of this data in a HubSpot with a Zapier connection. And then I can find a way to basically weed out the ones which don't have the ability to invest in WeChat, and focus on the ones which are actually very qualified. So this is a very new experiment. I started 3 days ago, and I'm actually doing that myself because I really enjoy discovering new ways to engage people through messaging. This is kind of like my little personal experiments, but this one has seen good results. We have not scaled it at all. I'm still basically crafting the course and discovering what is a good way to provide this kind of courses for messaging, which is kind of new for us.
I'm still on SimilarWeb, and I'm seeing that you get a lot of traffic from the US. Is it correct? Like 20%.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, this might also be some people using VPN in China. So, this part of this traffic might be Chinese traffic. Like our main geography is, US definitely is a big one. US, Canada, in Europe, I would say Germany, UK, Holland, maybe a bit of Italy, and Australia and New Zealand. This would be the main places where we have a lot of interest and clients.
Okay, it's a bit different from what I get from a similar web. I get Singapore.
Later, I can send you like our actual analytics. I think it's always difficult because US always tends to be overrepresented because a lot of VPN access is using some nodes in US.
And you 50K viewers every month. It's not bad.
Not really great. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's good.
The point is, it's very qualified. If you look at the way the keywords, which are the main keywords for us on Google, is like really WeChat Shop, WeChat Payment, WeChat Store, WeChat Advertising. So the people, this is extremely qualified traffic with very high intent.
Still content marketing. I feel that we are experimenting as an entrepreneur. We are trying a lot of ways to get new clients, new ways, and so on. But at the end of the day, what's really driving the most of the clients is content marketing still.
Online, I think we've been, to be fairly honest, I think I haven't been very good to leveraging other channels. That's also why content marketing is so strong for us. And I haven't been very good at leveraging offline traffic. Like conferences and business trips and basically going out to meet clients, which, because I'm not this type of person, I'm very socially awkward and very extremely introvert. So it does not help. But actually in beginning next year, we're going to start doing more of this. So I'm going to go into like a little European tour to give a bunch of talks in France, in UK, in the Netherlands. So we can start to start leveraging a bit more of these capabilities, of these offline capabilities. I think content marketing is still quite strong when it comes to online conversions, especially for our kind of like very niche B2B business. It's hard to just run a Facebook campaign and do very well, except, as I mentioned, if you do retargeting, you already have a qualified audience. But if you're starting from scratch, finding people who have high intent to start selling their products in China is not very easy. While with Google, you actually get a lot of these people with very high intent.
I see. I understand. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for the time. It's already been 1 hour. We have been talking. How did you like it?
It was good. Good questions.
Thomas, the first time, because we had a technical problem. I can tell the audience we have a technical problem. We did that 1 week ago. Actually, it didn't work, so we did it again today. And how did you feel about it compared to the first time?
It was even better than the first time. So I'm looking forward to maybe next week we can try again if there was another problem.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Thomas, and thank you everyone for listening. We will shoot another episode next week. Bye bye.
See you, Matt.